So, Admiral Captain Janeway.
They would make lovely earrings with them. Thank you. At long last. I worked hard for this. I'm going to give them into safekeeping. There you are. How are you guys? The panel theme is Captain Janeway, right? So, let me tell you a little bit about it. I will tell you that I said this yesterday, but I'm going to repeat it because I think it's worth repeating. I know what my obit is going to say. It's going to say, Kate Mulgrew, Captain Janeway, dies in the right quadrant at last, at 132 years of age. And I've often thought, you know, my siblings have sort of provoked me about this, my friends, when we've had a couple of glasses of wine. How do you feel about that legacy? How do you feel about that? How do you think I feel about it? It's a wonderful feeling. I understood what was going on and what I was undertaking. It was very clear to me. Patrick Stewart came up to me at craft service. He said, "Darling, let me be very clear about this. You are in for the rest of your life. It's far, far bigger than you can possibly imagine. But keep your chin up. Give it 100%, and you shall come out very proud indeed." I did come out. Some say I crawled out. I say I flew out. And I was proud. I was proud. I was relatively ignorant about Star Trek, and it stood me in good stead. I walked into Janeway fresh. She became mine. That was my marriage, that was my love affair. Kate Mulgrew with Captain Janeway. I didn't have any of that, you know, history to drag me down or to inform me wrongly. I gave her what I thought she needed. They tried very hard in the first season, those of you who have watched the first season, to demystify my femininity. And by that I mean they put a knot on the top of my head. They put duct tape on my bosoms. They had a thing in my uniform that made me sort of walk like this, right? They gave me 4.5-inch heels in Italian-made boots, right? Because I'm 5'5" and all the guys are 6'2". So it looked like a cartoon the first day of shooting. So I put my boots on. I said, let me take my hair down, cut it, and let me not sleep with anybody. What's good for the goose is not necessarily good for the gander, or vice versa. I can never get that straight. But you know what I mean. I'm dyslexic about the geese. Yak flies for the guys. Guess why? A man's a man. Let me say that again. A man is a man is a man. They need what they need in deepest space as well as planet Earth. And I get that, okay? Kirk had it. Picard had it, God bless him. Not Janeway. Not Janeway. I was of childbearing years at that time. I was 39 years old. I know the demographic was 15 to 35, 40. Shall I go on, gentlemen? I thought, how am I going to win them? I'm going to win them the right way. I am not going to rock this boat, if you'll pardon the expression. I am not going to be inviting Chakotay into my ready room to be ready at all hours while we are flying blind in the Delta Quadrant because I couldn't stop at the gas station, right? No. So I went to Rick Berman and I said, I understand, you think I don't understand. I get it, I get it. Men want to see bosoms. They want to see love. Women want to have romance. No. The only way for this to last 7 years with integrity is for me to own this command. Let me be the best leader that I can be. Give the romance to somebody else, which they did years later, but that's beside the point. So I led, and you came. And I said to the writers, stop writing me like a man. I'm not a man. I'm a woman. I am the first woman in the captain's seat, Let me own it the way I need to own it. It's an inherent thing. I said, did you hire me because I look and act like a bimbo? Did you hire me because I sort of stand around like this and don't know? You hired me because I have a natural sense, you think, of authority and a command. So let me have it. Leave me alone. Stop making me stride around. I said, that's not me. I can walk up to anybody. I can walk up to 10 guys and say, you're going to do what I'm going to tell you to do. Because you believe me. And I did. And then the audience started to grow. And this wonderful thing happened, this relationship between myself and the fans. Because at first I was absolutely, this is the Yiddish term, vermischt. Do you know what that means? What is this relationship between this astounding fan base and Star Trek, let alone the first female captain? Well, all these years later, I can tell you what it is. It's exalted. It's dignified. It's unusual. When I was doing it initially, I can now confess to you, it was absolute nonsense out of my mouth. That techno babble, I would all night long, I'd be poring over, what is this Japanese? What is this Greek? I don't get it. For 6 months, 8 months, I had to do it like that because I had to do it. I was working 18 hours a day, I had to do it. The nebula, the fingers are found, the black hole, we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. And I'm just praying to God, what is that crazy word? What am I saying? Where am I going? And then I said, calm down. When you're free, you're gonna study. So I started to read the physicists that I love, beginning with Einstein, but really concentrating on Richard Feynman, who I think is the greatest modern physicist of them all. Look it, case in point. You know who Richard Feynman is. And you love Richard Feynman. So I understood physics at last. At the ripe old age of 40, I was getting it. And I also understood what Einstein said when he said, the theory of relativity is nothing more or less than the leap of imagination combined with the law of the physical world. And I thought, that's what Janeway is. She's a science. She's speaking the truth. She's a scientist speaking the truth, and that's what they know. And the starship is a metaphor for who we are, alone on Earth with this briefest of windows called life. That small, and that's what that ship represents. How are you going to live it? In that grain of sand that is all you have to call your own. Well, I say you live it with the terminology that the Okuda brothers and Roddenberry endowed. You live it by the prime directive. You live it with great diplomacy of being, of heart, mind, of morality and courage. The prime directive was not a joke. It was the transcendence of all things, real and unreal, seen and unseen, race, gender, discipline, labels. That's what Starfleet stands for. It stands for life. We all know that oblivion is space, and we're all headed there. From whence we came, we shall return. That is just a fact of life. And that's why I think this extraordinary relationship developed between Starship and the Starfleet and the actors on it. At least that's been my experience. And it's been deeply personal and almost inexpressibly gratifying. You are intelligent in a way that I love. You read, you think, and you know this much. It might be called science fiction. It might be a television show, but it's probably true because the essence of life is mysterious and space is infinite and of infinite possibility. So when Mrs. Clinton invited me to the White House at the end of my first season to speak to the foremost group of women in science, can you imagine me? Just see me on the plane. No, I can't write that. I'm sorry. The flight attendant is saying, do you need another drink? I said, no, I need to get off this plane. I got there and I had 25 pages of what I was going to say to this extraordinary band of scientists. And I just looked at them and I said, forget it. You know and I know what's going on here. You are here to give me courage. because you are smarter than most. And you know that if Paramount Studios is willing to roll the dice, and I'm talking about billions of dollars, on a girl as a scientist and a captain about a show about space, then you know your shot at NASA is now 100% better. True or false? And they went, exactamundo. I had a girl come up to me, probably one of the most memorable things of the entire 7.5 years. She said, my father was a great astrophysicist, and he has told me, because of my love of science, to calm down and understand that there's a glass ceiling there. Don't get my hopes up high. Go out into the field, and don't go out into the field, you'll do research. You will be a wonderful scientist in research. You will make a major contribution. But Dad, I don't want to go into a room. I want to go out. I want to go up. He said, sugar, it's not going to happen in your lifetime. Well, 7 years later, she wrote me a letter and she said, my daddy was wrong. And Captain Janeway, I have to tell you something. I think you were seriously influential about breaking that glass ceiling. Because I'm not going out, I'm going up. And that is the kind of thing that, what other actress gets this? Huh? Who gets it? Only me. Who is that darling little girl? And may I have her? You are great. Are you going to be a scientist? No, I'd rather be a princess. Okay, all right. Listen, we have limited time and I'd love to take questions. Do you have